officially welcome to the audio masterclass. There's someone else entering. So this is really all about how to let go and find your flow in a nutshell. There you go. Lots of people arriving. That's great. Just in time. Welcome everyone. Al and Henry, welcome. We're just starting. So if you have any questions at any point, just wow, we're getting lots of lots of people. Is this because of you, Sally?
Yeah, I just sent the link out.
Okay, welcome. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm going to crack on with this because I don't want to keep you going. If you join just now, I'll just let you know if I go. So we're going to ask you just to put yourselves on mute. If you're having a question, just unmute yourself and ask a question, or put something in the chat. That's also an okay way to do it. Yeah, as I was saying, this is all about letting go. How let go and find your flow is the title, and here's what I want to cover. So
get rid of this nonsense.
Let's just a bit of feedback going on there. So if I can ask you to mute yourselves. There we go. I'm just going to mute everyone. And you can unmute yourself. Okay, but otherwise I'm going to keep you muted. Otherwise we get lots of feedback loops and so on going on. So all right, so just to give you an idea of the objectives and the structure of what I'll be covering. It's about, first of all, we'll do a simple breathing exercise just to help you relax and be fully present. So we'll start off with that just to kind of settle into this. So I'll ask you to close your eyes, sitting comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel the energy rising up the spine. It's a full deep inhale breath. You clench the sphincter muscle. That's the muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops of urine out. Locks the energy in. So it's what I call a power breath. You hold the breath briefly. And just observe any kind of negativity, any resistance to being here tonight. And be willing just to release it. So I release it now. Willing to let this go, be completely open and present and available to Spirit speaking to me tonight. And just be willing just to let go. You exhale, letting it all go, blowing it all out. It's a breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. Just pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here for a few moments in peace and stillness. Now you're just going to take 10 deep, slow, rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. So breathing in through the nostrils, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And then gently you exhale. Notice how the air flows out of the nostrils, touch of the breath, the bottom of the nose and the area just below your nose and your upper lip. And then you repeat that cycle of inhale. Then you just focus all your attention on the breath flowing in to the nostrils and flowing out of the nostrils. As it wants to, there's no attempt to really control the breath. You're just breathing in and naturally breathing out. And you're just observing, watching the breath flow in and flow out. Just breathing in and breathing out. Stomach rises and the stomach falls. And you're getting more and more relaxed with each breath. And sinking deeper with each breath into the stillness and the silence. And you just observe the breath quietly. If any distracting thoughts come in, notice them and just focus all your attention on the breath. Just a subtle flow of breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, be still, quiet. Observe the breath. Completely present. So just for a minute of silence, just observe the breath. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Breathe, relax, be still, and sink inward to stillness, silence. That is your true nature. You observe the breath for a minute of deep silence. So just coming back gently into awareness of the full body, body sensations, and the breath, and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises, chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils again. Scan your mind again. Notice any thoughts and any emotions going on, any related body sensations. And if there's anything that's still unwanted, that's unpleasant, just exhale and blow it all out. The breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. And the stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. Notice how the chest and the stomach suck back in. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair on the count of 2. Feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching. Your hands, breathe in again. Maybe there's a subtle smell in your nose, a taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing. It's very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. You're just going to stay in this present state for the rest of the session, just allowing the words, concepts, ideas, information just to drop in without judgment. Suspend judgment and allow it all in, and where you'll get the most out of this masterclass. So it is said, so it is done. On the count of 3, now open your eyes and just take a moment to look around, ground yourself back, and yeah, let's continue with. So that's the first bit, just a little breathing exercise, which is actually really powerful. That's based on the Vipassana meditation, Anapana, it's called. It's part of the Vipassana meditation technique, which is very old, 2,500 years old. The Buddha taught it, and it has now been kind of rebranded as mindfulness, just observing the breath. But it's a very ancient technique which helped the Buddha to come to enlightenment. So don't be fooled by its simplicity. So what else am I going to share with you tonight? One secret skill. You might have been to webinars like this where they say, well, there's 5 things you need to master, or seven habits, and 7 habits of highly effective people. Stephen Covey come to mind, but there's really just one thing in my experience, one secret skill you need to master to allow your life to work miraculously, and I'm going to talk about what that is just now. Then talk about the 4 life-changing benefits of actually doing it, of mastering it. What are the benefits? Because before you're going to undertake a lot of time and effort to learn a skill, you want to know what the benefits are. Then revealing 7 stress-busting techniques to help you to master the one essential skill based on some very ancient techniques related to yoga and yogic science. So it should be interesting for you. And then really the rubber meets the road where it comes to integrating, practicing these techniques in your daily life to experience all the life-changing benefits consistently. How do you actually do this in practice? And then we'll have some time for questions. Finally, we're going to go into a live meditation and discussion with our members. So Sally is one of the Art of Letting Go Club members. So we're going to go straight into that session afterwards, which you don't have to join, but you're most welcome to. If you'd like to dive in and see what it's all about straight away, we're going to be doing that session starting around 8:45. So that's a little structure for you, what we're going to cover. If you stay the course, so you stay until the end of number 6, at the end of the question time, I'll give you the written worksheet for a powerful 10-step letting go process, just to say thank you, as well as a 1-hour recording to guide you through it in a meditation and explain it. It's actually the 10-step letting go process is something I came up with. It's a summary of the entire teaching of A Course in Miracles, which if you're not familiar with, I'll talk about tonight as well. So how you actually put it into practice in 10 simple steps. You stay until the very end, question time, after question time. If you need to go then it's fine. So that'll probably take us a couple of hours till about 9 o'clock, just so you know. Okay, so let me ask a rhetorical question. Why are you here today? Why have you taken a couple of hours of your valuable time? Could be doing other things to turn up to this webinar. There might be a few reasons. You're always looking for something. No one arrives here and there's some kind of search going on. So you may think that you're looking for just relief from stress, anxiety, depression, and disease, which could manifest as disease. Could be that's what you're struggling with at the moment. So better health, more wealth. It's a common reason why people turn up to things like this. Better relationships, better quality of life and lifestyle. Maybe it's some of all of that. So, but in the end, again, a rhetorical question, what are you really looking for? What underlies these things? Just think about that for a moment. And I was going to use a word for it. There's other words for it, but I chosen the word happiness. It's as good a word as any. You could call it inner peace. You could call it fulfillment, contentment. But happiness will do. Just a sense of happiness. I'm okay as I am. There's no unhappiness to plague me. I'm just going through life. I'm okay, and there's an underlying sense of peace, and maybe even joy comes into happiness. Happiness is a base state of being okay, but there is a kind of underlying joy that runs through it, which can fluctuate in intensity. Not always joyful, but the underlying peace never leaves you. So that's what I refer to by happiness, an underlying sense of peace with moments of joy breaking through. And obviously, the more joy you can experience, the better. So again, let me ask you a question. Why haven't you found lasting happiness yet? Pause and consider that for a moment. Well, it's probably because you've been looking in the wrong place. If you were looking in the right place, by definition, you would have found it. And that's just a product of our cultural conditioning. So we've been conditioned from a young age to think that we'll be happy when we have better or more of something outside of ourselves. That's just our daily programming. That's what seems to be the human condition. Seek outside of yourself. This is the message that comes from our culture, our society, our parents. So if you've never been told something else, then how would you know? So we're bombarded with these kinds of images, fit, healthy, young, sexy bodies that, of course, very few people live up to. So that's clearly not a recipe for happiness, because even if you have one of those, at some point you won't. The body ages and decays, and in the end we will get old, and there's no way we're going to be able to maintain that standard anymore. Even if we're older and we're in good shape, it's not going to be. We're not going to look young. So if youth and good looks and are your thing, then you're going to be disappointed inevitably in time. Maybe it's a nice car, things money can buy. That could include clothes, whatever possessions that you think are going to offer you happiness. And of course, there's always a downside. Cars break down; they need to be insured. And if you've ever bought a new car, you'll know the thrill of having one doesn't last very long. It maybe lasts a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then it kind of wears off and it's just something else, and you're just driving it from A to B. So that's really the purpose of a vehicle, to get you from A to B. And then if you like the thrill, then you need to buy another car to get the same thrill. Maybe it's a fancy house. You go, oh, I would just be so happy if I lived in that house. Well, you look at the lives of some rich and famous people, celebrities, and they live in these kinds of houses, and often they're filled with unhappiness and dysfunction. So living in a house like this is no guarantee of your happiness. Of course, houses also need to be insured, and houses burn down. A couple of months ago, there was an arsonist in my hometown of Johannesburg in South Africa, and he was going around literally burning down houses, and he burnt down many houses, including the house of my sister's boyfriend and his family. So that's not just theoretical. These things do happen. So yeah, can you attach your happiness to something that's temporary? It could fail you. Maybe it's travel. It's another thing for people. Travel and related to that picture is a relationship with a special person. Like to have nice experiences with them, like traveling. And of course, if that was the case, then you would have suffered greatly in COVID because you couldn't travel. Now we can travel again, perhaps temporarily happier, but very few people can travel all the time. Holidays are maybe once a year, a couple of times a year, you go on a longer holiday. So that's clearly not a recipe for lasting happiness either. What are you going to do in between? And what happens when you can't travel, as we just experienced? So all of these things are really there to teach us a lesson. Maybe we're looking in the wrong place for happiness. Again, fine dining, but fine dining with a special person can turn sour, and then it becomes a nightmare. If we ever had a special relationship that's gone wrong, you'll know what I mean. It can be one of the worst feelings. So is that a recipe for sustainable happiness? So where you'll never find authentic happiness. So this is from a lady called Dr. Laurie Santos, a psychologist at Yale University. She started a podcast called the Happiness Lab, and this is what she says: we often think we know what will make us happy, but the science shows us our minds don't always point us in the right direction. We long for fame, money, a beach body, a new car, all the things I've shown you, and we expect these things will make us happier. That's what our culture tells us. And she's saying, well, the research shows that those expectations are flat out wrong. Right? So completely wrong. There is no validity to those at all, and research shows that. So what does the research show? 75 years, $20 million expended on the grant study, which is an 80-year study done at Harvard University, and then they incorporated some people from another socioeconomic group in the US into the study. It's been going a long time, and they would regularly check in with these people to see how they were doing, record the results. And this is what the lead psychiatrist who led the study for over 40 years said: happiness is love. That's the conclusion. Happiness is love, full stop. So they found that only love really made people happy. Nothing else really worked at all. So love was the first pillar of happiness that this study found, and then the second one was related to that. It was not pushing love away, which is quite important, because if you push love away, then by definition you can't have love. So how would you push love away, you might ask? Well, one of the key ways is we search. All mental illness is some form of external searching. So we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for something. And that search is symbolized in our society by money. Money is the symbol of the external searching. Given that money seems to drive this world, one could only say this world is mentally ill in terms of A Course in Miracles, which was, if you're not sure about who wrote that, it was Jesus Christ saying that. All mental illness is some form of external searching. So even if you go to a psychotherapist and you're looking for the answers outside of you, although it's not looking for it in a thing, you're still looking outside of yourself for the answer. And there's many people who got stuck in therapy for years and years trying to get the answer from the therapist, but the answer actually lies within them. It's beyond money, it's beyond therapy, it's beyond anything that's outside of you. So let's look at the cause of unhappiness before we look at how you can be happy. So this is a lady called Marisa Peer, who's a hypnotherapist to celebrities. So she treated Princess Diana, Amy Winehouse, and many Hollywood celebrities, and celebrities from the world tend to gravitate towards her because she's helped a lot of them. I guess she gets referrals. And so based on all of her experience with them, this is what she said: when you know and believe you are enough, you don't need more. When you feel and believe you are not enough, you will always want more. So really highlighting that it's a lack of self-worth that's the problem. And all she got her celebrity clients to do was to say an affirmation: I am enough, in the mirror to themselves, facing themselves, as many times a day as they could. And she found that that very, very effective, much more so than any other treatments. But some other psychiatrists and psychotherapists referred clients to her who didn't. And then they'd say, well, how do you do it? She said, well, it's very simple. Just get them to start believing in themselves. Because it's a core belief that's the problem. And no amount of searching externally is going to do that. Because here's the thing. When you search externally, you believe that you're not enough. Saying, I'm not enough, so I need something external to me to complete me. And so you're subtly telling yourself that you're not enough, which is what the Buddha noticed about 2,500 years ago. This became the second noble truth of Buddhism. He said, there's, the truth of suffering, and the cause of suffering is desire, or craving, as he called it, tanha. It's this craving for something outside of yourself. So whenever you crave for something outside of yourself, then you're saying, I'm not complete. I'm not happy as I am, which is not a good message to give your mind. And related to this, stress comes in, because if you have all kinds of expectations and you're not sure whether they're going to be fulfilled, then you experience what's called stress or fear. It's a perception of some form of external threat, even if it's just the threat of your own expectations not being met. So there's nothing real about it. It's just in your own mind. You set up an expectation, you think your expectation won't be met, you experience stress because apparently your expectations may be threatened. Deepak Chopra said that. That could be a quote directly from A Course in Miracles. All stress is the perception of some form of external threat. So can you see how seeking outside of yourself for some kind of satisfaction and happiness and the idea of stress and fear are related? Because it's the perception of some form of external threat. So if you're looking outside of yourself for happiness, then it also makes sense that you can be harmed by what's outside of yourself. That what's outside of you can disappoint you, can hurt you, can harm you in some way, and so then stress arises. So really desire and fear or stress are two sides of the same illusory coin, which is all self-created. This is happening in your own mind and your own emotions. Even though these thoughts and emotions seem to be very real, it's all internal. So we looked at the key to unhappiness. Just keep desiring, keep fearing that your expectations won't be met, and you'll never find happiness. So what's the key to happiness? Well, we want to just turn it around. Well, if that's the key to unhappiness, it becomes very obvious. Do the opposite. So this is what Jesus, or Yeshua, if they call him, had to say in A Course in Miracles. Mental health is inner peace. It enables you to remain unshaken by lack of love from without, and capable through your own miracles of correcting the external conditions which proceed from lack of love in others. So it's your own inner peace, and you can actually, through your own miracles or corrections, miracles are really just corrections, you can actually correct the external conditions which proceed from lack of love in others. So you can help to heal others if you are right-minded enough, if you remain rooted in your peace. And there have been many examples of it. Jesus or Yeshua being an outstanding example, the Buddha being another. There's been many spiritual masters who've graced this world with their presence, whose presence has profoundly influenced and healed other people. So this is not just theory, it has been done in practice. So happiness isn't really a goal in itself. You can't really go, I want to be happy sometime in the future, because that just sets up a loop where you're never going to achieve it. You're seeking outside of yourself, and by the very act of desiring it, you sabotage your happiness in the moment. So this is a lovely quote from a little book called The Golden Key to Prosperity and Happiness, published in the United States in 1885. So people who say this is New Age, this has been going on a very, very long time. Search for happiness is as old as man. And somebody says happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which if you'll sit down quietly may come and alight on you. So just stop seeking, stop pursuing happiness, which incidentally is actually in the Declaration of Independence of the United States, the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not happiness. So it's no wonder that that entire society is about pursuing and aiming and striving and never seeming to arrive at the state of happiness, because it comes when you just sit down quietly and allow it to alight on you like a butterfly. that sitting down quietly is otherwise known as meditation or mindfulness. Just allowing it to arise. Maybe you experienced some of this quietness, a deep happiness when we did our meditation to start this, and the breathing that I guided you through. So, related to this is the idea of knowing yourself. So that phrase, temet nosce, means know thyself in Latin. That's actually from a movie called The Matrix, which you may have seen. That's the back of the lead character's head, Neo. He's gone to see a lady called the Oracle, and she points that sign out and says, you know what that means? Know thyself. So really what she's pointing him to is self-knowledge. So you came here to know yourself, but he still doubted. So she says, you got the gift, but you're waiting for something. You haven't quite accepted who you really are. So how's this related to happiness? Well, to know oneself is the first step toward making flow a part of one's entire life. Flow is just happiness in action. I'll define flow in a bit more detail just now. Happiness in action is the short definition. But just as there is no free lunch in the material economy, nothing comes free in the psychic one. If one is not willing to invest psychic energy in the internal reality of consciousness and instead squanders it in chasing external rewards, one loses mastery of one's life and ends up becoming a puppet of circumstances. That's a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He was a professor of psychology and best-selling author who wrote that. And he actually coined the term flow, which is a very old idea. It's been around since the Tao Te Ching 2,500 years ago, but he's put it into a modern context and called it flow, and now that's an accepted term in psychology because of his work. So happiness really just relies on one character trait, and that's self-discipline. Because can you discipline yourself not to go chasing external rewards, not seek outside or something outside of you, and look within, which is why Charles Glassman said it relies on this one character trait, which is self-discipline. So again, you might say, what is self-discipline to do exactly what? So this is the one essential skill that I promised to reveal. And it's really to let go of any negative thought / emotion. I hyphenate that because it's very difficult to distinguish between a thought and emotion. Thought leads to emotion, emotion leads to thought. So it's really a movement of mind and feeling. Can you let go of anything that's negative, anything that blocks your happiness as and when it arises, so you can experience authentic happiness? So if you can truly let go of anything that's blocking your happiness, it will be logical that you can be happy. Why is this true? Because happiness or unhappiness is always experienced in your own mind. That, I think, is self-evident. It's not experienced outside of you. It's an inner state. So I don't think anyone will have an argument over that. But this is where your ego, or sense of the separate self, will have great issues accepting the second one. So only your own negative thoughts and feelings can really make you unhappy. And the ego tells you that something outside of you can make you happy or unhappy. The external world, this is the source of the external seeking, seek and seek and seek, and never really find what you're looking for because it's not out there, it's in your own mind. So it's only your own negative thoughts and feelings about anything that can make you unhappy. Your perception makes you unhappy. It's not the thing, the circumstance or event itself. It's your perception of it. And again, if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that that's ultimately true, because you don't have to get unhappy by something. There's certain things that would tend to make most people unhappy, but you don't have to be unhappy about it. You still have a choice in any situation. You may have experienced instances where something happened and you weren't really bothered and someone else was very bothered. It's really the same thing, or vice versa, which gives you a good indication that really it's perceptual. Happiness is perceptual, and it's not anywhere outside of you. So because those first two premises are true, therefore learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions must be the key to your happiness. you can just let go of whatever's blocking your happiness, then happiness will be there. As the quote said, it's already there. You just have to sit quietly and not have any negativity running around through your mind to block your awareness of it. So this is really the key skill, just letting go. It's been called other things, surrender. It's been called forgiveness in A Course in Miracles. But I like the term letting go because it's very descriptive of what you're actually doing. You are literally letting go of the thoughts and the emotions that form these blocks. And when you let go of those thoughts and emotions, because your natural state is happiness, an awareness of happiness arises. It was always there, it was just covered over. So this is why it's the one essential skill. It's just restoring your mind to actually its true nature. You're not having to add anything into your mind, you're just having to cut away what's not true and what's not there. So this is key benefit number one of the skill. Happiness is yours if you know how to let go. The second benefit is flow. The idea of fulfilling flow. So I'm going to explain what flow means now in a bit more detail. So being able to let go of negative thought emotions quickly leads to a state of calm, peace. You can be poised, and you're able to enjoy each moment. So your ability to let go creates an underlying happiness or peace that you can then carry into action. And you can stay calm and poised and able to enjoy the moment, even if you're feeling challenged, even if there's challenge and you have to rise to that challenge. If you're calm and you're poised, you can actually quite enjoy the challenge. And then from that state of calm and poise and enjoyment in the moment, you can take truly positive, effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. So that's what's really going to be most beneficial, what's for the highest good for yourself and for everyone else involved. That's what's positive and effective action. And you can only do that from a state of calm and poise and peace. If you're upset, if you're angry, you're emotionally unstable, then positive effective action is not available to you. So this is key benefit number 2, is the idea of fulfilling flow. Happiness as the base state, and then flow is how happiness carries into action. So it's happiness in action, as I said, in short. What is flow? So again, let's turn to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who spent his lifetime studying the phenomenon, and this is what he has to say. It's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives, that we learn to become more than what we were. So when we act freely, there's no agenda, there's no ulterior motive, there's no external seeking for an outcome, in other words. So can you see how flow is very, very much related to the idea of not seeking happiness just in the moment without an agenda? You don't need to get an external result to be happy. This is why it's an extension of this letting go. It's all part of another thought system, another way of thinking, another way of operating in the world, which is based on your true self, based on love, and is completely opposite to the way your ego or sense of a separate self calls you to operate. So if some of these ideas are challenging, you've never heard of them, welcome it. Just say this is an alternative, because if I just told you what you already know, then there's no possibility for change. You come here presumably because you want to learn something new and hopefully implement it and experience more happiness and flow in your own life, as well as higher purpose and ecstatic well-being. So these are further benefits. So if you follow the track of finding happiness, you let go, you find happiness, base state of happiness, you're able to flow in every aspect of your life. That'll lead you to experience a healthy, meaningful, extraordinary, ordinary life. I call it extraordinary, ordinary life. So you're not necessarily doing anything amazing like winning Wimbledon. If you watch the Wimbledon final, that a few people do those kinds of things in this world. But just your daily life is extraordinary, ordinary, because you're able to really experience happiness, peace, joy, even bliss in your daily life regularly, and that's pretty extraordinary. You don't have to do anything extraordinary to have that state. You can do it in the simplest things. It could be a walk, it could be a meal, it could be working in your job, on the phone, you're sending emails, you can stay in the state, this connected state, and a state where you find meaning and purpose just in your daily life. So you're not looking again outside of yourself or to the future. One day I'll achieve this extraordinary thing. It's just daily. My life is meaningful daily, and I feel like I have a meaningful, purposeful life, filled with miraculous experiences and results. So this is really happiness in action. Miracles are corrections in your mind. Miracles lead to happiness, peace, and joy. So if you're having these kinds of experiences, then you'll be having miraculous experiences, and that tends to create similar kinds of results. If you're in that higher state, then the kind of results that you tend to attract in this world tend to be better, tend to be on a higher level, higher vibrational frequency, it's called, and because the underlying energy is your underlying energy is cleaner and better. So, sense of higher purpose and ecstatic well-being are key benefits number 3 and number 4. So those are the 4 key benefits I promised to share. Let's summarize them. 4 keys to an extraordinary ordinary life. Number 1 is the key to authentic happiness. So really knowing how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them seems to be. So there's no exceptions. You can find happiness no matter what. Key to fulfilling flow, knowing how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. So just staying in this underlying state of happiness and peace, and being able to stay poised and actually enjoy the moment while you're guided to take positive effective action in every situation. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where our beingness, our happiness, which is just a state of being, can actually come into action and be pretty useful and helpful in this world, because it's virtually impossible to be completely passive and not actually act in this world. And then from the state of flow, you start experiencing higher purpose and a sense of ecstatic well-being. So knowing how to be happy in a flow, those are the prerequisites in every aspect of your life, and live a healthy, meaningful, extraordinary, ordinary life filled with joyful experiences. So in that you have meaning and purpose. There's your higher purpose. And the joy is the ecstatic well-being. You really feel not just well, but well-being, and you can even have these moments of ecstasy. You just, I'm so happy. I'm so joyful for no particular reason. It could just be a very ordinary experience that brings this about. So this is one of the characteristics of enlightenment. You just experience joy for no apparently obvious reason. Joy in the very simple things of life. So there you have it. Authentic happiness leads to fulfilling flow, leads to higher purpose and ecstatic well-being, bound up with each other. And you've got 4 very powerful, profound benefits of letting go there. 4 keys to an extraordinary ordinary life. So can you see why letting go is really the critical skill? Letting go leads to authentic happiness, which leads to fulfilling flow, which leads to sense of fulfillment, higher purpose, and ecstatic well-being. And they all come from that start of letting go. If you can't let go of what's negative thoughts and emotions, then how can you be happy? Well, you won't be happy. You're going to be upset, angry, frustrated, whatever the state is, but not happy. There's no underlying happiness or peace. And without happiness as a base, you're not going to find flow. And then your fulfillment, because flow is fulfilling, and your higher purpose, which comes when you find flow, not somewhere in the future, just right now when you're in flow, you feel like there's a purpose to your life, just because you're enjoying it in the moment. And ecstatic well-being is certainly not possible if you can't let go. You stay mired in negativity, and really the stressing, straining, and striving program of the ego is dominant. So can you see why letting go is absolutely critical? Because it kickstarts the whole process. This is why, of course, in Miracles, Jesus says forgiveness is the key to happiness. There's no other way. If you're not forgiving or letting go of your delusions, then you're going to be suffering. So you might ask, well, how can I learn to let go and find my flow in life? Well, there's a couple of ways of undertaking this transformation. Learning new information is often a necessary but not a sufficient step for a true transformation of mind to happen. Necessary but not sufficient. So often we need more information to kind of break us out of our paradigm, but then we need to apply it. And there's two ways to do that, to this true transformation. Either through intense pain and suffering, you are forced to go within, because life is just so miserable and you're so unhappy that it forces you to go within and break through suddenly to a new level of understanding and wisdom. And that way is called the way of the cross, which sadly is still probably the dominant way that people wake up in this world. They wake up through pain. Enough pain kind of cracks open their ego and they go beyond it. But they need a lot of intense pain and suffering to do it. A couple of examples of people who've done this. Eckhart Tolle had a pretty miserable life by his own admission until he was 29 years old, and then because he was in so much mental and emotional pain, just had a kind of an enlightenment experience. Suddenly just his ego dropped away. He woke up the next morning having passed out from the intensity of the experience and just felt at peace. So he couldn't really explain what happened. He spent years studying spiritual teachings to figure out what had actually happened and become one of the world's best known spiritual teachers. So that was his way. And there's another lady called Byron Katie, who's also a well-known spiritual teacher in the US, who also a lot of pain. She was in a rehab unit, woke up and slept on the floor one day, and her ego dropped away, but had to go through a lot of pain and suffering before that. So that's not the best way. I think there's always going to be an element of that. If you have some kind of pain and discomfort, some kind of suffering, it causes you to look and to say, well, I need to change. It doesn't have to be acute or intense. It can just be okay, I know everything's not quite right, so that gives me a prompt to look for the answer, and then that can put you on pathway 2, which I call the way of mastery, which is through conscious, disciplined practice of spiritual ideas and techniques. You systematically grow in understanding and wisdom, and this is called the way of mastery. So again, very ancient, been going on a long time. There's many spiritual paths, many techniques that people have come up with to help them to gain better understanding, to grow in understanding, wisdom, to be more be happier, be more peaceful, be more loving, and so this is what we call spiritual paths, spiritual techniques, spiritual practices. All fall into the way of mastery. So what are the principles of transformation through mastery? Well, first of all, it's understanding and realization through your personal experience. Can't come any other way. Must be through personal experience. The only qualification for being a so-called mystic is that you've had your own personal experience. It's not someone else telling you this is how it is. It's not a theory, a theology, a doctrine, a dogma, a philosophy. It's your own personal experience that has taught you that. It requires your active willingness and disciplined effort. So it doesn't come this way. It doesn't come without active willingness, disciplined effort. You can suffer and suffer and suffer, and then eventually get a kind of breakthrough experience like Eckhart Tolle did. He didn't do anything except suffer for 29 years. But this path requires your active willingness and disciplined effort to start learning its ways, to start learning, growing, start letting go of what's blocking your awareness to love's presence, and allowing happiness to arise more and more in your mind. So therefore, doing key spiritual practices regularly is essential. How else are you going to do it if you don't change something? So the spiritual practice is how you actually apply this. It's all very well saying, yes, I want more peace, I want to let go. Well, how do you actually do it? There's a number of spiritual practices which I'm going to go through now that can help you. And so this transformation can also be greatly facilitated by another person or group who help to raise the initiate's consciousness. I'm using alchemical language there because when you undertake a path of conscious spiritual growth and transformation, you become an initiate in many of these traditions by your own choosing. So just having another person, a facilitator, and a group, you can tap into that group energy, help to raise your consciousness, and they transmit positive energy and hold the person accountable. They hold you accountable, which is really the value of any kind of group, any kind of teaching, any kind of path. There's an uplifting, positive energy that you immerse yourself in, so it helps you, and there's a sense of accountability, which also helps you to stay on the path. And then finally, immersion in the key spiritual practices and the positive field of consciousness greatly accelerate it. So immersion in these key spiritual practices in the field of consciousness that is created when you're doing these kinds of practices. When anyone is studying or teaching them, there's a field of consciousness. Rupert Sheldrake called it the morphic field, also being known as the quantum field, that it creates. And when you immerse yourself in that field, you feel better. It subtly changes your thoughts and emotions, and it's easier then to accept and to learn these new ideas in that field of consciousness. So I promised also to show you, seven ways you can do this, 7 techniques based on stress busting techniques, based on some very ancient techniques. None of this stuff is really new age. New age just means it's been rediscovered, brought into prominence again. But most of these techniques are thousands of years old. So number 1 is breathwork techniques. We've already experienced one of those for a few minutes at the beginning of this masterclass. Just being conscious of your breath, and there's many, many ways of doing that. So that involves asana. That's a posture. You were sitting in a sort of meditation posture to start. Pranayama, which is breath control. It's really breath, prana, and yama means control. Energy control, actually prana is translated. Prana is breath or life, energy. And then pratyahara, which is a sense of withdrawing the senses. So you close your eyes, you withdraw the senses, the other senses like hearing and sight from the world. And that helps you to go in and just focusing on one thing, just your breath. It really helps you to quiet your mind. So why it's such a powerful mindfulness technique. So the second is multidimensional meditation, which goes really hand in glove with breathwork techniques. So most meditation techniques use some kind of breathing to get you in there, to get you into the state. So meditation is more the state that you enter into, a meditative state. It's a practice as well, and breathwork is really a practice to get you into that state. Now, in the Eastern tradition, in yoga, they identified 2 states of meditation. First one they called dharana, which is a sense of focus, concentration. So you would focus on one thing, such as a mantra, such as a mandala, such as a candle flame, or just an idea. And focusing on that one thing would quiet the mind, bring your mind into focused attention, which would then allow the second phase, dhyana, to come in. So dhyana is just really a deep contemplative meditation where you're not focusing on anything in particular. It's just awareness itself. So that's in a more advanced stage, just being in awareness itself without having to focus on anything specific. So that includes the number 1, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, as well as dharana and dhyana. So there's 5 in multidimensional meditation, which is why it's such a powerful technique. And I call it multidimensional because it's got all these techniques in it. And the way I teach it, it works with a number of modalities. So there's breath in there, there's affirmations, there's sound, there's toning, there's breathing, there's touching your parts of your body, and visualization. So there's a number of modalities, and whichever one works better for you, that's the one that your mind's then going to focus on. So we're all wired up differently, some more kinesthetic, so they feel, some more auditory, some more visual. The multidimensional meditation caters for whichever preference you have. and using that preference can use that sense to take you into a state of, first of all, dharana, focused attention, and then dhyana, just a deep contemplative kind of meditation. And number 3 is forgiveness, or as I prefer to call it, letting go. Use whichever term you prefer. I like letting go because it's very descriptive of what's actually happening. You're letting go of thoughts and emotions that don't serve you. Forgiveness can be a bit obscure. A lot of people don't really understand what it means. Whereas letting go, it's much more difficult to misunderstand it. And so forgiveness involves yama, niyama. In the yogic tradition, those are observances. So you observe various practices of cleanliness and various abstentions. You don't do certain things and you do certain things. It's yama and niyama. That's part of letting go, really. You've got to let go of some behaviors, some habits that don't serve you as kind of a foundation. And then pratyahara is really with the withdrawal of the senses. So you go within, withdraw your senses, you quiet your mind, and you find this presence inside of you that was covered over usually by your mind and its attachment to the physical senses. So pratyahara is a big part of letting go. And number 4 is group discussion sessions. So using this kind of technology, Zoom, you can enter into group discussion. That is called, in the yogic tradition, niyama, and they actually have a subcategory of that called svadhyaya, which is study of ancient texts. So in the yogic tradition, you study the Vedas, you study the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, whatever the text is, to really help you to gain understanding and wisdom, more understanding and insight. And then reading and listening to these spiritual texts. So that's another way of doing it. Instead of discussing it, you actually just read it on your own. That's also niyama and svadhyaya. So both are important. The group discussions really help you to understand more. So if you read and listen to it on your own, and you had a group discussion, you're likely to understand more. Or the one substitutes for the other. Instead of reading or listening to it on your own, we read and discuss it together. And then a lot of people who are in the Art of Letting Go program, which I'm going to talk about now, do that. So they do it in the live sessions. So 4 and 5 kind of blend into one, although you are reading in the group discussions as well. So if you'd like to experience that, stay afterwards. We're going to actually go into a session you can get to experience it straight away. Number 6 is fasting or abstinence. So this is fasting, not necessarily just from food, that's one way, but fasting from bad habits. So things like smoking and drinking and overeating, indulging yourself in any way. You would fast from those. This kind of practice is in a lot of spiritual traditions. In the Catholic tradition, they have Lent, where you'll fast and you'll abstain from these pleasures of the world. In the Muslim tradition, they have Ramadan, where they fast for a month, for 12 hours during daylight. So fasting and abstinence, that means abstaining from what's really not helpful to you. It's not just food. And then finally, an end-of-day reflection, which is a meditative practice, but it's more kind of, instead of a deep contemplative meditation, it's just reflection on your day. There's 4 questions that I recommend you ask and answer. That reflects on your day, and it can take you into a state of dharana. So the questions are a focus point. So Asana Pranayama, Pratyahara, and dharana form part of those. So you can see this incorporates the 7 limbs of yoga, and then there's an 8th one, which is called Samadhi Enlightenment, which is where you put it all together. It's no longer a technique, it's a state of being. Samadhi literally means a sameness of perception. So when you're in Samadhi, you perceive everyone and everything as the same. So they're the same underlying essence, the God essence in everyone and everything. You perceive only that. And that's the state that people like Yeshua and Buddha and many other masters have attained, where they're just rooted in that state pretty much all the time. And they're seeing the sameness of life instead of seeing the separation. They see that everyone ultimately is the same underlying it, and that separation is a delusion. And that's the enlightened state. So that's not a technique, it's a state of mind which you abide in. Having done the work, no one gets to enlightenment, that's why it's number 8, without having done some work on the first 7. Very unusual. Occasionally someone, like an Eckhart Tolle, has a lot of suffering, but probably he's had to go on this way of mastery as well, subsequent to that, to really learn and integrate and understand that experience more fully. So there you have it. There's the 7 key spiritual practices, and finally the reward is the 8th state of enlightenment. And this all relates into the yogic tradition, which is many thousands of years old. It was written down in Patanjali about 2,000 years ago by a guy called Patanjali, but this goes back to prehistory, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. This is passed down orally, this tradition. So deep roots, probably the oldest spiritual path on the planet, and some drawing on some deep wisdom, recommending that you try and apply this in your life. So how do you actually do that is the question. So allow me to introduce the Art of Letting Go program to you briefly. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of it. So it's a facilitated 1-year mind and life transformation process. It's all about transformation of your mindset, transformation of your thoughts, of your feelings, and because thoughts and feelings drive your life, ultimately of your life. So it's a mind and life transformation process based on the way of mastery, which I've just shared. So conscious disciplined practice of spiritual practices and techniques. Yoga, because the 7 underpinnings, the 7 limbs of yoga underpin the program, and this idea of immersion learning. So you immerse yourself into this kind of learning. And so it's a daily practice. I run live sessions 6 days a week, and the people who join them regularly, really do get the benefit. Once a week is not enough. You disconnect from the field. The ego has got a chance to come in. So immersion learning, if you can spend a couple of hours in that field learning every day, then it's going to greatly accelerate your progress. And it is possible to arrange your life to do that if it becomes a priority, which I'll ask Sally to share about just now, because she's been doing the program for 3 months, Sally, and I think you've found a way to make it work for you and integrate it into your life, integrate all these practices into your daily life and just make it a priority, and then you see the benefits. And then key spiritual practices include live and recorded daily online meditations and discussion sessions, transformational exercises, solo meditation and breath work, and also studying the text. What I've chosen is A Course in Miracles, which is a very profound non-dual teaching that I haven't found anything as profound and powerful, including ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita and the Tao Te Ching don't have the depth of understanding wisdom that A Course in Miracles does, in my humble opinion. So we've chosen that as the text because I believe it's the ultimate truth. And so that's the kind of foundation that all the practices hang on. That's the underlying teaching and philosophy, which then you learn more and more about and learn to actually apply through these practices of meditation and discussion sessions and the exercises I give you to do, solo meditations and breath work. So all the 7 key spiritual practices are incorporated into the program. So if you do the program, then you don't have to worry about integrating these 7 spiritual practices. That's already done for you by the design of the program. So the goal really is to help you to learn to let go of fearful, stressful thoughts and emotions whenever they arise. So you can start consistently experiencing. And here are some of the key benefits, which you'll be familiar with, because these were the same benefits of the 1 essential skill, which is letting go. Given this the Art of Letting Go program, and it's designed to teach you the 1 essential skill, then it's logical these would be the benefits. I'll just recap them quickly. It's the authentic happiness you'll experience. You'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking appears to be, and choose to be happy instead. So I give you a lot of different ways, different tools, different processes to do that. You will know how to do it by the end of the program. Without a doubt. Will you still have resistance to doing it? probably for a while. But if you know how to do it, and you know that this works, and you know that happiness is around the corner, just requires you to let go, then sooner or later you're going to do it once you know how. Too many people just really don't have a clue how to even start an undertaking like letting go. So joining the program, it's going to really help you to learn how to do this, how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions in the face of whatever you're facing. There are no exceptions. So the processes work in every instance, in every circumstance, no matter how challenging it seems to be. And by letting go, you're choosing to be happy instead. Key benefit number 2, related or flowing from that, is the idea of flow in your daily life, fulfilling flow in daily life. So you take your happiness into whatever you're doing. Happiness in action is a shortened version of flow, short description of flow, and you'll know how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive, effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. So a sense of enjoyment, even in challenge, you're able to be poised, calm, peaceful, and from that state you can take really positive, effective action. I'll give you an outstanding example of that. Yeshua, Jesus, in his life, there was a situation that was really tricky. He was preaching outside the temple in Jerusalem. They brought a woman to him who'd been apparently caught in the act of adultery. Quite how they did that, but apparently they caught her in the act of adultery. And the Pharisees and the Sadducees said, well, the law of Moses says that she should be stoned. What do you say, Rabbi, teacher? And he said, so they were trying to trap him. And so he just paused. History records he took some time, and he kind of drew something in the sand. He's giving himself time to think, probably. Just pause, stay calm. And he just said one sentence, let he who has never sinned cast the first stone. And that was enough for everyone to just drop their stones one by one and walk away, and the whole situation was defused. So there is an outstanding example of taking positive, effective action to respond to a very challenging situation and just defuse it. If he'd lost his cool, if he'd got upset, if he got angry, he may have died. In those days, they stoned people to death, so he could have been stoned to death along with the woman, which is probably what the Pharisees and Sadducees were setting him up for. But he remained calm and poised, and was able to stay in tune with the truth and take the guidance from there. So, if you remember, higher purpose was one of the key benefits of letting go. So, as part of the Art of Letting Go program, you'll start experiencing more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life, and find higher purpose and meaning in all your daily activities. So you're not looking anywhere else for it. It's in your daily life. It's in your daily activities. It's not sometime in the future. It's right now, and that's your purpose: to be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life. If you go out of flow, well, then you go back to the letting go, and you let go to restore your mind to happiness and flow. So letting go will restore you there very quickly. You don't go out of flow for very long. And then there was ecstatic well-being. So you might go, well, that's a bit much, ecstatic. I don't feel ecstatic most of the time. But in my experience, it's possible to have these moments of real joy in your day. It might not last all the time, but you have a sense of ecstasy, of just, oh, wow, I'm really so happy in this moment. And you're being well in that moment. And so you might not always be on that high, but you can have these moments coming through. And this is joy. This is kind of the highest way of living. So you've got happiness, underlying peace. You've got flow in every aspect of your life. You're able to translate it into action. You can live what I call an extraordinary ordinary life, just doing what you're doing, but you're in a state of happiness and flow, which is pretty extraordinary, because there's not many people who are able to stay in that state. And then it brings you and others joy regularly. So on a daily basis, little things, ordinary things, can really bring a lot of joy into your life. And that's really the true miracle. experiencing joy in daily life, experiencing an extraordinary ordinary life. And it's all there. It's all possible if you have the building blocks. You're not going to get to this without having happiness and flow as your foundation, and then a sense of higher purpose that comes when you actually are happy and in flow. And this is applied throughout your life, in every aspect of your life. So you might say, well, that sounds a bit daunting to get here, higher purpose, ecstatic well-being, but it's a work in progress. If you're working towards it every day and you're experiencing these things every day, more and more, then it doesn't matter. It's going to take the rest of your life to maybe fully master it, because right now you're experiencing the benefits right now, and so you're not thinking about the future and when will I be enlightened, when will I be happy. I'm experiencing it right now, and the more I experience it, the more self-rewarding it becomes, the more I want to stay rooted in that state. So I stay there, and it just doesn't become worth my while to leave the state of happiness, flow, higher purpose, and ecstatic well-being. You want to stay there. And if something comes in to test you and take you out of that, you observe it, and because you've got the tools, you let it go, and you restore your mind to happiness very quickly. So it seems very, very simple, but it's very, very profound. These benefits, most people don't know how to live this way. They don't even know conceptually that it's possible. Even if they know conceptually, you might know people on a so-called spiritual path who know about this stuff, but they're not actually living it. Their lives don't reflect happiness and flow and sense of higher purpose and ecstatic well-being. There's very few people actually live it. So this is a high standard, but it's a standard that is attainable, is possible, with the right practice and the right first of all mindset to want it, to say yes, this is what I intend. Change that from wanting. This is what I intend to do, and then the how-to. Intention starts, and then the how-to. So a lot of people don't know how to. They don't have a disciplined program. Well, the Arts of Letting Go program is really just my humble contribution to that. A few years ago, I just thought that what was missing in my own life, and what I could see didn't really exist, was a really detailed, disciplined program of practicing the Course in Miracles daily, and really getting the benefit of that. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I decided to create it. 4 years on, here we are. It's going. I've got members, and the program is in full flow. We're about 150 days into it this year, and we'll continue again next year. So it's been quite a journey, my own journey of learning and exploration and spiritual growth, and a lot of people have benefited from that. So you can do the same in your own way. You can find a way to extend this out to others in your own life, and that's where you start to find life is really extraordinary, ordinary, higher purpose, meaning, flow, fulfillment. These things actually become something you're living. So I'm just going to summarize very briefly. I'm not going to go too much into this. This is an estimate. It's a summary, because I'm doing a lot every day, so it just depends on exactly how long the sessions are. But you're looking at somewhere in the region of 15 to 20 hours a week of live sessions, including meditations. Every session we do usually a 20-25 minute meditation, and then we do online discussion sessions, which can last 2 to 3 hours. And then I also send you recorded meditations, so to help you to practice the lesson for the day. If you're familiar with Course in Miracles, is a daily lesson. So you get a longer meditation and what I call a short breath break, which helps you to practice in a shorter time, which is recommended in the lessons, just in a few minutes. So you get those recordings sent to you every day, as well as recordings of all the live sessions. So if you can't make the live sessions, you can always catch the recording, which are posted live on YouTube, as well as on the Telegram group we have. So you can listen to the podcast on your phone, or you can listen on YouTube, however you want to do it. There's a lot of material available. There's fresh content every day. You also get a content-rich email, which comes early morning, and that's got all of your mind training material in it, with links, your meditations, reminders about the live sessions, It's kind of your resource center for the day. And there's a shortened version that goes out on Telegram every morning. So if you don't like long emails, then fairly short Telegram message with all the key content in there. So however you want to get the information, long form, short form, it's there, as well as all of the spiritual practices, which incorporate the 7 key spiritual practices that I recommended that you do. It's all a part of the program, and you are reminded to do that. There's a daily schedule. So I'm just going to tab across and show you very quickly what's going on here. So let's just have a look there. So this is an example of an email that's sent out this morning. So there's a quote, inspirational quote. There's a link on there, so there's a bit of music there to get the day going on a good note. Then I usually have a bit of a blog post, so it's quite a long one. Some are shorter, which just gives some insight on the quote and lead you into. Sometimes I'll give you a bonus, like a bonus video to watch. This one's on the Matrix, with the commentary on the Matrix movie. And then there's a workbook lesson from A Course in Miracles. You click on that, it goes in there. There's today's lesson 155, and there's a text reading as well. So we are on chapter 19 of the text. So we're working through Course in Miracles workbook and text systematically, day by day. There's one lesson and one section of the text every day, and we keep doing that. You get through the entire workbook and the entire text, as well as the manual for teachers, and there's some supplements in 1 year. So that's the design of the program. So if you want a systematic, structured approach to studying A Course in Miracles, then this is it. I don't know of anything more comprehensive. So there you can see your breath breaks. So you could go and listen to that.
Hi everyone.
For 4 minutes. That's just to practice it in a shorter way. There's a longer 20-minute one. So it's all there. It's on the emails as well as in the text messages. And then that leads you into your lesson. So you've got the text of the lesson there. And what we do in the discussion sessions is we actually translate. So some of the language is Christian. This one's not too bad, but it's God, Holy Spirit, Son of God, Christ. We actually translate it into a non-Christian version, which seems to be very helpful. That kind of evolved through the program. It didn't start off like that, but it seemed to be helpful when translation was done. Because, oh, okay, I'm understanding that term better. So we're actually in the process of working through it. In the discussions, we translate the text and the workbook into an alternative language, which in a year's time will be done. And then there'll be an alternative non-Christian version of the course, which will be available next year, which will then go into the emails. So it's kind of a work in progress, and everyone's kind of jumping in and doing it. So it's not just me who's doing the translation; everyone participates in that. So that's what we get up to in the live sessions. As I said, there's one happening pretty soon. Should be a few members joining in the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll go into one of the live sessions. So let me just wrap this up. So you can see really there's a lot of value there. I've tried to incorporate. There's a lot in here. If I was costing that out, at a unit value per hour or per email, you're looking at something in the region of £15,000, give or take. But no one's going to pay that, so I'm not suggesting you pay that. I'm just showing you that there's a lot of value in here. There's also, I failed to mention the course, How to Let Go 6-Week Mastery course. You might have seen that at the top there. So that is really the introduction, the first 6 weeks of the program. That's how it started off. I ran the 6-week course first, and then the program sort of evolved after that. So that's really the ideal way to start. But because of the intensity of the program, and there's like daily sessions, I can't really do a course and the program at the same time. So it's once a year. The next course is starting in February, 5th of February. That'll be the start next year, and it'll go for 6 weeks to Sunday the 19th of March. So that's the first 6 weeks of the year program, and then the course is valuable standalone, but most people then choose to continue because you've just got the introduction to A Course in Miracles. We do the first 35 lessons and the first 5 chapters of the text. And then, there's still a lot to do. So if you don't want to wait, you could wait. So then if it's not the right time, you could wait a few months, about 6 months, and you can join in February. Or if you want to dive into the yearly program, we're kind of midway through it, 155 lessons into it, and 19 chapters into the text. But the course is kind of holographic, so wherever you jump in, you'll get benefit. So you can start tomorrow if you want to jump into the daily program. This is a summary of the times. So 12:30 UK time, 1:30 p.m. South African time. I've got some South African subscribers, and that's also Central European time as well, Central European summertime. So there's a lunchtime session, which a lot of people do, and then an evening session as well on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So Monday to Friday lunchtime, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. There's an evening session as well, where we just do the text and a meditation. In the other days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do it all in one session. So it can be quite a long session. Session lasts 1 to 3 hours, but you can join for as long as you like. So what I say to people is, look, it's all happening. The recordings are there if you don't get the live session. So join what you can, find a way to make it work for you. And the people who have and have jumped in, really are getting a lot of benefit. So no one does every session except me, because I'm facilitating. But if you can do 2, 3, 4 sessions a week, you'll find there's huge benefit in that, because you're getting some of that immersion experience that you get on a retreat. If you've been on a retreat, that's the kind of experience. We're mimicking that in your daily life, not to the same intensity, because you still got other stuff to do. But if you can spend a couple of hours really in a live session, it kind of mimics that, and you get the benefits of it. Definitely, I've seen people shifting a lot faster than they have in years. Maybe I can ask Sally to share just now her experience of doing the course for years and then coming into this program a few months ago. So there's 8 live Zoom sessions per week to choose from, 15 to 20 hours per week. And if you, as I said, if you want to do the recordings, if you can't get the live ones, recordings are readily accessible immediately after the session on YouTube or Telegram. So that's, if you recall, the value, roughly £15,000. And they give you a huge discount. There is a cost for it, which is £497, or just under 10,000 Rand. Or you can, that's upfront for a full year. So you get 2 months free if you do that, or £50 a month. But what I'd suggest, really, and this is what most people do, is if this has grabbed your attention, if you think there's some value here, if you like to give it a go, I don't want your money up front. If you're convinced, then by all means, you're welcome to. But dive in and do the 3-week free trial and see how it works for you. And after 3 weeks, you'll have a pretty good idea of whether the program can work for you on a long-term basis or not. And if not, no hard feelings. Some people try it and they go, it's too intense for me, or I don't have the time, I'm not in the right mental and emotional space, whatever the reasons are. But some people do, they continue and they find it life-changing. So if what I've shared with you today has grabbed you, then that's what I'd recommend. A couple of other options. The £50 a month or $497 a year is the top package, but there's people who only want to do 1 live session a week, so that's only £125, £12.50, £125 up front for a year, or £12.50 a month, or you can do $247 for the 1-year program, which gives you 3 live sessions a week, which for a lot of people is plenty, or £25 a month. So try to make it pretty affordable. What I'd suggest before you commit, you decide on it, just do the 3-week free trial. It's a full trial. You can come to as many live sessions as you want. You get all the emails, all the text messages. It's a full membership for 3 weeks, and then you'll know after that. Well, there's the top one, 1 year, $497. If you're joining with a partner, friend, then by all means, join and there's a discount for doing that. So just to finish off with, I wanted to just mention that I'm also running a retreat. So this will be covering a lot of what we covered in the first 6 weeks in February. This is all condensed into 6 days, 5 nights, 6 days at a retreat near Findhorn, which probably most of you will be familiar with. A world famous spiritual community in the north of Scotland. In September, so starting Monday the 21st of September in the afternoon, going through to oh, hang on, I think I've got that all backwards. It's actually Wednesday the 21st of September to Monday the 26th of September. Sorry about that. I've just spotted that error, but yeah, 21st to 26th of September is correct. 5 nights, 6 days, and it's really a transformational experience to help you let go of your ego's game and discover your essence identity. It incorporates an introduction to A Course in Miracles. That's the sort of byline. There's a lot of experiential processes I'll be doing, teaching out of A Course in Miracles, but mainly experiential learning. So learning through exercises, through practices. We'll be doing meditation. We'll be doing transformational exercises to take you through a journey of really coming face to face with your ego. So it's not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. But in 5 days, you can get a profound shift, and you really can let go of the core of it and awaken to your true identity, your essence identity, which then you can, from that big transformational experience, you can then integrate and build on and really start mastering by continuing on with the program. So unlike most retreats, there's actually an ongoing program where you can carry on and meet the same people every day and plug into this and really reinforce that learning. So it's not just, oh wow, I had a profound transformational experience and then nothing. There's a program to back it up, which is what I wanted to create. Again, 4 years ago I looked at it and I was like, I don't just want to do retreats and workshops where people have a profound experience and then it's okay, well, bye-bye, see you maybe for the next version of it in a few months if you're lucky, or that's it. There's no follow-up. I don't think that's responsible. So there's a deep, detailed, disciplined program of mind training and spiritual practice that follows up that retreat if you want it. It's all happening at a place called Markasy Farm Lodges, which is near Forres, between Forres and Findhorn, about 7 miles from Findhorn in Scotland. $8.97 per person. That includes 5 nights of sharing accommodation, 2 meals per day, except on the Thursday when we'll fast during the day. So you only get 1 meal that day in the evening. That's part of the spiritual practice of the retreat. Or if you happen to be have accommodation there, you can do it at $4.97 a person or $9.47 for a couple, which just is non-residential. So you'd have to provide your own accommodation. I would really recommend the residential option, even if you live in Findhorn, because you'll get an immersion experience and you won't break the state that you'll get into by going home and potentially having, things coming in. It'll be a 6-day immersion where you just switch off from the world and you really immerse yourself into the field of transformation. So that's the retreat, which may interest and excite some of you. And we're open for bookings. Just had our first booking, so you're most welcome. If you want more information, I'll be sending some more out this week. So that brings me to just the final closing of this. And I'm going to refer to the movie The Matrix again, which I referred to earlier in the talk. If you recall, in that movie, it starts off with Neo, who's the hero of the story. He's asleep at his computer, so symbolically asleep, but he's searching. So he's asleep, but he's searching the Matrix. And it's the early days of the internet, so you see he's kind of scrolling through, and you see, Morpheus, and he's searching for this person called Morpheus, and then his computer starts talking to him. Wake up, Neo. He wakes up and he looks and he says, "What's going on? Matrix has you." I was like, okay, he's not understanding what's going on at all. And then he gets a message, follow the white rabbit. So he's getting a little call to adventure here. Follow the white rabbit. He's not sure what's going on. And then knock, knock. And then there's a knock on the door. He's like, okay, this is freaky. And then the lady with the guys come to see him, buy some pirated software, has a white rabbit on his shoulder. You can see illustrated there. So it's a call to adventure that he gets right at the beginning of the movie, and he says yes. And so he takes the step, and he literally goes down into a dungeon to meet a helper, to meet a mentor who's going to guide him out of the Matrix, Trinity. If you know the story. So a great story of what's called a hero's journey. So my question to you is, will you follow me down the rabbit hole of your own mind to find your true self? Because that's really what the call to Neo was, and what the call to all of us is. Know thyself is the injunction all the great teachers and masters have given us. Will you have the courage to go on a journey to know yourself? And Michael Joseph Campbell studied this journey, and he called it the hero's journey, which has 12 phases. This actually, interestingly, is the kind of blueprint for many movies based on this hero's journey. So it's got 12 phases, 3 acts. It starts off with a call to adventure, which is coming from the known world. You're in the known world, but you're not terribly happy, and you then call to adventure. Something comes in and says, okay, you can change this, and do something different. So hopefully tonight there's been a call to adventure. I said, well, there's a couple of opportunities. You can join the program, you can join a retreat. I'm asking you to do something. That's a call to adventure. Usually people end up start off with refusing the call. They go, no, I'm not going to do it. If you remember in the Matrix, Neo was called to go and jump over some scaffolding to escape the agents that were after him, and he couldn't do it. He said, no, this is too much for me. So he refused the call once. But then he goes and he meets his mentor, Morpheus, who then says, right, this is the point of no return. He gives him the famous pill scene. Well, you take the blue pill, go back to sleep, believe whatever you want. Take the red pill, and I'll show you how far the rabbit hole goes. And he takes the red pill. So he crosses the threshold then from the normal world, the known world, into the unknown world. And his whole world turns upside down. He sees that what he was in wasn't really reality. He leaves the known world. He goes outside into the world outside the Matrix. So this is the unknown world that the hero is asked to enter, which once he crosses the threshold, or she crosses the threshold, then is the second act, the adventure. So then, if you're calling the Matrix, he's got to go and get trained. So that's part of his journey. He's got to be trained. He then has tests, allies, enemies. He's approaching the inner cave. So he has to go through an ordeal. He has to face Smith, fight him, and finally seizes the reward, which is awakening to his true self. Along the way, his trials and failures, he gets helpers. He goes and sees the oracle. He gets guidance. And in the end, he discovers who he is. That finally awakens to who he is. If you recall, he gets the gift of love. He awakens to himself. He resurrects, and he comes into his true power. And he returns back to the Matrix with the elixir of life. He's now woken up. And then actually in the subsequent Matrix movies, he does another version of the hero's journey. So that's it in essence. And it all starts with just the call to adventure and listening to that call. The question to you is, will you listen? Will you listen to the call to adventure and start your own hero's journey of awakening to the truth today? So it starts with a decision. The only thing that's going to stop you is fear. So this is probably my favorite quote of all time from Marianne Williamson, who many of you will be familiar with. She's a well-known Course in Miracles teacher. And this is what she said: our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is actually that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We're born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. glory of love that is within us. Translate God as love. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So I hope tonight I've done a little bit of this, a little bit of that for you. And maybe when you ask yourself the question, can I afford to do this? Say, can I afford not to do this? Because it's really it's your happiness, it's your flow, your higher purpose, your sense of well-being, your ultimate awakening to who you truly are, and your ability to thrive in this world. Are all priceless. You can't really put a price on these. So I encourage you to just dive in, go down the rabbit hole with me for 3 weeks, give it a try, and you never know. This might be the day your life changed. As Lao Tzu said, who wrote the Tao Te Ching 2,500 years ago, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So it starts with that single step. If you want to take it to do the 3-week free trial, just let me know. Very simple sign-up process. Just message me, email me, message me on WhatsApp, Telegram, and say, yes, I'm up for this. I'd like to do it. I'll add you to the mailing list and to the Telegram group, and you start your trial tomorrow. You've got 3 weeks to dive in and try it. That's what most people do. If you'd like to sign up for the program, take advantage of the early bird discount with 3-week money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, you get your money back. Same difference as 3-week free trial. Send me a direct email or text message as well. And if you're interested in the Fin 1 retreat, again, please send me a message. I'll send you more information and payment details and stuff. I think that brings me to the end. I'm going to throw it open for questions now. Any questions, comments, and maybe I can ask a couple of our members, Kim and Sally, still in the room. Yeah, Sally, maybe to share some of their insights, because I've talked a lot about what it is and what it does. Maybe hear it from people who've actually experienced the benefits of this program themselves. So, any questions?
Well, I'd like to share. I'd like to say that I refused the call the first time I heard about Jonathan. I thought there's no way I could do it. I haven't got time. And then the call came again, and I thought I'd hop on one of these calls, exactly the same call as you've just been on. And no, it wasn't. It was very similar, but it was. I joined one of the discussion groups, and it was so powerful. And Jonathan's really generous with his offering. There's an awful lot of generous, given from the heart. It's expansive, absolutely expansive what's offered. And I just recommend the 3-week free trial. There's absolutely no pressure to do anything other than that. Just dive in and have a go. It's been life-changing for me.
I think, Sally, you almost an example of how to do it, because you dived in and you really immersed yourself in it for that 3 weeks. You said, okay, I'm going to suspend everything else. I've got various other things, but I'm going to not do that. And you just focused on this. So that's what, if you do the 3-week free trial, that's what I encourage you to do, is really just say, okay, look, for 3 weeks, just really focus on this. You can always go back to what you did after 3 weeks. Give it a full go, give it a try, and you might just find, that it has a life-changing effect like it did for Sally and many others. Yeah, so thanks for that, for sharing that, Sally. And for whoever you invited here, I don't recommend a lot. I don't recognize a lot of people, so that's presumably your work. So, anyone else got any questions? Some people came in late, so if you missed it, then I'll send you the recording. I've recorded it, so it's available. Any other questions about anything I've shared, about the program, about the retreat? Any spiritual questions? Happy to take anything.
I'm sorry, I came in late. I would welcome a recording, if that's okay.
Yes, yeah, I've recorded it. It's live on YouTube at the moment, so
it's on YouTube, so I can do that. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link so you can catch most of it.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah, only a pleasure. Well, welcome, and you're welcome to stay. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go into a live discussion and meditation with members. So Kim is a member and Sally, but any of you are welcome to stay and experience that for yourself. So dive straight into it if you'd like to, and stay for as long as you can. We'll probably go on for a couple of hours, but you can stay for as long as you can if you have other things to do. So welcome, Kim. Nice to see you. Kim's joining us from South Africa.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hello.
So Kim, you've done the course. Sally hasn't done the course. Maybe just speak about your experience of the 6-week course.
So I did the course with Jono for 6 weeks last year over June and July. It was very good and like valuable experience, also just to immerse a little bit more into the course starting like that. In terms of time, like admittedly I wasn't able to join I try to join almost all the sessions. It is quite it's very good and it's very intense, and the more you join, I think definitely you get a lot out of it. And it's not just the course, but it's also Jono goes through kind of transformational exercise as well, which is really helps to, it goes hand in hand in what is brought across in terms of the course. So it was very valuable. I think also I think one of the challenges of finding in the beginning is like Sally said, Jono's very generous with his time, and there's definitely the value is so much more than what you're paying out financially, I think. But it's at the same time is to be gentle with yourself as well. This is not something that has to feel like it's forced, and you make it work for you. So that was really good. I didn't feel like there was anything like, there was, in terms of the expectations, it's not like, okay, well, if you don't get this work done or something like that.
I remember in the first few days he's saying, okay, I'm feeling a bit stressed by all this, all this material.
It's quite,
said, well, do what you can.
You do what you can, and
do what you can. No one's going to do it perfectly.
And you certainly get a lot out of it, even just doing
I think even if you do sort of 10 or 20%, you're still gonna, because there's a lot there. No one does it 100%, and it's probably not, well, I suppose if you're really dedicated, you're during that 6 weeks, your whole life, that you could do it 100%, but realistically no one's going to do that. But if you do it even 30, 40%, 20%, there's huge benefit in it. I think I've seen that. I'm not just saying that. I've seen it from people who've really done it. And like, if you do it and you don't show up to the sessions, you're not doing anything, then it's not really going to help you. But people who've actually participated and they've joined the sessions and they're doing the exercises, everyone gets a benefit. Everyone has a shift by, sometimes dramatic shifts in their lives because of it. So that's one way. If you wait until February next year, we're starting the course again. That's as I said, the start of a 1-year program. Or dive in now if you're up for it. If you're into A Course in Miracles already, you're familiar with the language, that works. Sally just dived in. We're already 3 months into the program, and it's got a lot of benefit. And when we get to the course next year, it's just the first 6 weeks of the new year for you. If you're a member, you just do it then as part of your monthly subscription or yearly subscription. You've chosen to do it. So thank you for sharing that, Kim. Anything else you want to share? What's your key takeaway? Out of all of this, what would you say? Okay, so key benefit in 30 seconds. Do you think you could get it down to something as succinct as that?
You're asking me?
Yes.
I think just like I think just keeping up with, even if you're just doing like, I mean, okay, so there's the course, but then there's the membership as well. So if I refer to the membership, it's like just having that key connection to the lesson, and I guess it does. The more you do it, the more kind of benefit and calmness I feel. But even just sometimes I have the days where I just like I might do the bare minimum, but I'm still keeping connected to it. So that is a benefit in terms of the practice, like not letting it go. And I think, getting the messages, the emails, like, it keeps you connected to it. And I think also the community as well, and the sharing. So when being on the sessions, it does help the expression sessions, and also just Jono's like help in succinct explanations, but also just the allowing of us and the being able to express and share. That's quite powerful.
So the format is, typically we'll start and then people share, and that's usually not recorded. So if you want to share anything personal or private, you can. It's a safe space. And then we go into actually reading the message for the day, the quote, the related message and the email, and then into the lesson and into the text. And we split that into 1 or 2 sessions depending on the schedule for the day. So tonight we're doing the whole thing. So if you want to stay, do both the quote, inspirational quote for the day, and the message that I wrote, and then we'll go into the lesson and the text. Then stay with us by all means. It'd be great to have you. So let's ask Libby and Nicola. So, Libby, you're gonna stay with us?
Hi, Jono. I don't think I can now. Just the time. I have to write somebody's wedding ceremony. So So I think I'm going to leave.
You're gonna drop off. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much. Let me know your thoughts by text message. I will follow up with an email and a text message tomorrow.
Okay, then.
With a bit more information, and I also owe you an updated, some promotional material for Glasgow.
For Glasgow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for what a resource, Jono. It is definitely the kind of thing that, I've been studying the course for decades, and there is a bit of me that thinks that I should just course and that would be my life, So to set a platform that you're setting out like you have is very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't really find anything. There's many teachers of the course, and I'm certainly not claiming to be the only one or the best one by any means, but I couldn't find a detailed, comprehensive program where it would take you through it day by day.
Yeah.
It tends to be
at the moment, I've signed up to Marianne Williamson's daily things and to Robert and Holly's daily things, and I'm guilty of not do that thing of it's exactly the same as getting a membership to the gym and then not going. It's that kind of thing of what I know exactly how to set up my day for good spiritual practice, and yet the resistance remains.
Yeah. So this program is really, it's not just a lesson. It's not just there it is. It's like it's detailed guidance. You get all the tools like meditations and breath breaks. So to do the short practice periods or the longer practice periods that Jesus recommends in the workbook lessons, which you'll be familiar with. Do people do them? Often they don't. You skip and you miss. And so you've got a recording, and all you've got to do is hit the play button. It's on your phone, hit the play button and listen, and it's going to guide you through it. So, I'm trying to make it as
It's
easy and
like
accessible as
like
possible.
holding
You
your
still got to
hand.
remember and tap
Yeah.
it in, but where I'm going with this is an app. I'll ultimately have an app where it's all in the app.
Yeah.
And it will remind you, and then you just tap and you go, yes, I'll listen now. And it just brings
Yeah.
up the recording for the day.
For us poor wee fragile human beings that still manage to be drawn. But yeah, no, I mean, it's hand holding and it's accountability. Both are great, yeah. So much.
What's your feeling about the 3 free trials? Do you want to dive in and have a go?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously the situation with me just now with my income is like not good. You kind of go, okay, but of course, I'm not daft. I know in the past I've never regretted a single penny I've spent on any of these adventures. Whereas I know I can go and sit and have a meal and at the end say that wasn't very good. I could have made much better myself. And here's the bill, 80 quid. 80 quid. What did we have? What did we have that was 80 quid? So yeah, so it's all relative. It's all relative, of course.
It is relative, yeah. For 3 weeks, it's not going to cost you anything. So there's absolutely no obligation. You can dive in, you can give it a go, and if it doesn't work for you for whatever reason, at the end of it, you say, thanks a lot. Maybe in future, or maybe.
John, that's exactly what I thought. I thought, like, okay, let me next year. Next year's, the maybe to think about, right? You can back up. You could save up even.
Yeah. Good. It's not. I've tried to make it very, very affordable because I don't want to make it overtly expensive. But at the same time, I have to sort of make a living because I spend most of my time on this. So
doing this, I know.
That's the dance. I do other things as well, but I have to sort of get some kind of financial remuneration.
No, you can see it's very comprehensive, and I think you're right that the rhythm of getting into a structure, the more you do, the less you do, the less you do. It's so
yeah. I found it's a Sally who you heard giving her testimonial earlier. Sadly, she's had to leave us, but she'd been doing the course for about 10 years. I've had people come on who've been doing it about 15 years. And so these are long-term course students, and everyone said, "Wow, this is a revelation. I'm seeing what I haven't seen before. This has opened my eyes to the what the true meaning is. I'm understanding at a much deeper level."
Well, John, I'm very frustrated about my own journey with the course because I get uptight about the Christ mind. I understand as all of us, and I understand that the acknowledgement of that has happened to quite a lot of enlightened people, including Jesus. So I don't mind the Christian language at all, but I get frustrated about the kind of non-dualistic chat sometimes that kind of creeps into A Course in Miracles chat. A dualistic chat that creeps in, when we start talking about an off-planet God that is actually an old-fashioned idea of a judgmental God, and it's funny how it can still creep in and you go, listen, the Course is you can't cherry pick, it's 180 degrees of a difference. There's a very good Scottish word called tap. It's tap saltiri, tap salt teary, and it just means topsy-turvy. It just means the complete opposite.
Yes. Yeah.
And that the singularity of the Course is basically saying everything you see and everything that you experience, you have at some level asked for. So in that respect, I think the accountability that you're talking about and letting go is
exactly. I'm just helping you to do your own process of letting go, just facilitating that process and creating some discipline and structure to it. So
the word discipline makes me think,
but
at the moment, all I'm experiencing is resistance and not much discipline. So, Jonathan, I better go because I'll be another 2 hours writing before bed. So, I shall leave and
Okay. Well, let me know your thoughts. If you'd like to do the 3-week free
know.
trial now, or you'd like to wait until February next year. 'Cause,
Yeah,
that's the start of the new program,
yeah,
which is really the ideal place to start it. But it is months and months away. So, do you want to wait that long?
yeah.
Well, it's up to you, I guess. I'll ask for guidance.
All right, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Thank you, Ken. Thank you,
I'll be in
Nicola.
touch.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you for joining, Libby.
Bye.
And then Nicola, how are you? So
Yeah.
any thoughts?
Yeah. I started off this year reading the lessons on my own and enjoying it. And but then I don't know, at some point, I can't really remember what happened. I felt quite stuck and I stopped doing it. So, that's kind of what happened. Letting go. Yeah, that's one of the things that I feel I haven't been able to do with all the different things and approaches that I've tried to do. Fundamental, like real deep core things that hold me back. I haven't really been able to let go. And
would you like to let them go?
Well, I guess I would like to, but I think I'm a bit sort of scared of going there as well. I've got certainly a lot of resistance to but yes, I can see how much nicer life could be without it.
Resistance is normal. So this program is really just designed to help you get through the resistance.
Yeah.
Because it's part and parcel of doing the course. But too often, without the guidance and without support, you get stopped. And then, for some reason, you just stop doing the lessons. You're not quite sure why, but that's just ego resistance. Whereas, if you're on a program, it's less likely. I mean, you could still choose to stop, and no one can stop you. But if you get immersed in something, and there's a daily flow to it, and you can join live calls, and you're getting messages every day, you're less likely to stop because you're getting the material. You kind of in this, as I said, this field. It's so interesting because you kind of get into this field of transformation, and it really does help you to make a transformation. You're not alone anymore. You feel like I'm connected with other people, and they're also shifting, they're also changing, and they're also having struggles. And you can join a live call, and you can actually experience that. You can hear other people's stories and struggles, and so then it takes you out of that. Oh, it's just me. No, this is everyone's got their journey, and you're just another person who's experiencing the challenges of it. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey to undertake. So the benefit of a community and then a program, first of all, and then the community who are all doing the program together is huge. People just have really helps them in their practice to stick to it, to get insights that they wouldn't necessarily have. So I'm a facilitator, I share my stuff, other people share their stuff. You're getting insights you wouldn't necessarily have if you read it on your own. Those insights are not available to you.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a deeper, richer experience that most people have of studying A Course in Miracles, and helps them understand it better, helps them stick to the program, and really let it do what it's there to do, which is really profoundly change your life. It can help you let go of all of the negativity that's lurking there in the subconscious, and you find the ultimate truth of life, which is you are it. You are the one. You are perfect love. We call it pure formless awareness of perfect love. You are that and nothing else. That's all it's going to give rise to. But the journey to get there is the challenge, the hero's journey. So if you're up for it, you're most welcome to just, dive into the 3-week free trial, or maybe the retreat in Scotland might work for you. It's just in your backyard. It's not that far away from you. So
yeah.
That any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I'm going to think about it, but I think I'd probably like to do the free trial.
Yeah, do that first. Okay. So would you like to?
But you can you start the free trial anytime? Or
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So tomorrow, or you can, if you don't feel like it's exactly the right time, you could delay it. You could delay it till next year in February. Up to you.
Okay.
So have a think about it and let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So you're going to stay with us to do some practice, or?
Yeah. Just one thing. When you were doing the breaths,
yeah.
Are you holding your breath for like all the time you're talking? Like it seems like a really long time. I'm not really sure. The first.
So that initial breath, you hold it for about maybe 30 seconds.
Oh yeah. So you do it all the time, as you're talking.
Yeah, and then let it go. So that helps you to just do the sort of initial releasing, and then just the follow-up breaths, so just breathing in and out in your own time. So there's two breath techniques there. There's a breath hold. I call it a power breath.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then you've got the breath watching, which is Anapana, it's called in the Buddhist practice, which is just watching the breath flowing in and out of the nostrils. And both are, very, very powerful. So those are incorporated in pretty much every meditation and every breath break that I do live.
Yeah.
Those breathwork techniques. The one's really to just clear, to kind of set you into it, and then the ongoing breath watching is just the foundation. And then if you're bringing in any, say, lessons coming in, they come in and you're already in that nice, calm, peaceful state.
Yeah.
That brings you into the present moment. So yeah, I've just mixed, I'm pretty creative in terms of the way I apply spiritual practices. So I'll take a bit of this and a bit of that and go, well, what works? Just doing, like, say, Vipassana, there are people who just do that. I think that's too limiting. I think it doesn't tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
It's a powerful technique, but I think if you incorporate, some of that meditation technique with Course in Miracles mind training in the lessons and studying of the text, and then you're doing, those as meditations, and you're practicing regularly, as Yeshua suggests, the lessons every day. All of that combined, it's like you're hitting the ego from so many sides. So it's got to start going. It just starts being undone much more quickly than just one traditional path. So even Course in Miracles on its own, I find if people just read the lessons and they don't do a meditative practice with it, often they're not really able to get it on a deeper level, because it's actually what he's trying to train us to do is get into a meditative practice through the lessons. They are meditations with the focus of an idea. So it's really if you recall in the presentation, I talked about dharana, so focused concentration. So the lessons are focused concentration on a single idea to bring your mind into focused oneness, and then from there you develop as you advance, you start to get more going into the pure formless awareness, where it's just an awareness of awareness, which he takes you into in some of the lessons. He says, okay, just let it all go. Don't think of this course, don't think of anything, just let it all go and sit in that awareness. But if you haven't trained your mind, you're going to find it difficult to stay there. So it's a dharana, it's a focused meditation practice using an idea. What I love about it is he's using an idea. It's not just a mantra that doesn't mean anything. He's actually using an idea that has meaning and focusing on that and taking you some practical mind training. It's really it's a brilliant mind training process that he's created. I just try to create a program that does justice to it, that helps people to really get the most out of what is already an amazing program. Yeah. So are you going to stay with us for a bit? We're just going to
stay for a bit.
Yeah.
Not the whole time, but
yeah. Okay. I'm just going to do a bit of a bit of practice, a bit of sharing. So yeah, anything to just stop this recording. And I'm just gonna stop